here from DMM, your #1 news channel for down-to-earth and real stories for you. In today's special How Are You Represented, we have been given permission to look at and dissect the new film Sprint from the giants in the film industry world, JCAD Pictures. Obviously, to avoid major spoilers, we're only going to look at the opening couple of scenes, but don't worry, there is enough in it to keep you entertained. So sit back, get your drinks and your popcorn, this is going to be a good one.
You alright, hon?
How was your day?
You know, same old. The usual.
What was that?
I didn't hear anything. Maybe you're just tired. Look, I'll be up in a minute, okay? I'll meet you up there.
So as you can see here, there is a young Caucasian man, and he looks to be in his late teenage years, early 20s I would say. So as you can see further on in the clip, he is running from someone, or something. This shows that young men of today are usually in problematic situations. This gives off the connotation that young male adults are always in trouble and are not trustworthy people because they will run away from their problems. We could also interpret them as not working hard. Now let's cut to our professional, on-the-scene interviewer, Jack, to go ask some young adults about this representation.
So I am here with a young male adult by the name of Reese Crow. Thank you for joining me, Reese.
That's okay.
And I want to ask you a question about how you think your kind of age is represented in this clip from the film Sprint. So take a watch.
Right.
So now you've seen the clip, how do you think that your age limit is represented in this Sprint film?
To be honest, I think it's quite ridiculous because I know for a fact that I work hard and so do my peers around me, and we all do what we can. And it's things like this that make elderly people look down upon you when you walk past them on the street.
Well, I can see where you're coming from, but don't you think that in the final act when he's running away and he, instead of continues running, he hides in the bush, don't you think that shows that he's actually got courage to take on this foe that's obviously bigger than him? So it kind of represents you as an age as being like, have great courage. And to go back to the fact that you said that he was you're hard working yourself, don't you think that came off a little bit when the way he's dressed, he's a professional businessman? Don't you think that kind of conveys that he too works hard to get where he is, and because that suit he's wearing, he looks quite posh, so he obviously has a little bit of money, that shows that he is actually a hard-working man just like yourself. So I suppose that in the position it kind of goes against stereotypes in some ways, and in some ways does kind of bring in that stereotype. But thank you for joining us, Reese. Back to you in the studio, Dan.
Thank you, Jack. And now we're going to look at the representation of young female adults in the openings of Sprint. So the young female is shown as a damsel in distress in this clip, which is very stereotypical in the modern thriller films. For example, in Batman, The Dark Knight, or other films such as that, you always seem to be damsels in distress. But is this representation accurate? It's the real question. So back to you, Jack, out in the public, and let's see what people say.
Okay, I'm here with a young lady by the name of Jessica Pitts. Thank you for joining us, Jess. And we wanted to talk about how young females are represented in the film Sprint. And we think they're more depicted as being as more of a housewife rather than focusing on their family or career. And they also are seen as being defenceless and wait for the men to look after them and supply for them. At least this is how we think they're shown in the opening 2 minutes of Sprint. So take a look at this clip and tell me what you think.
You right, hun?
How was your day?
You know, same old. Usual.
What was that?
I didn't hear anything. Maybe you're just tired. Look, I'll be up in a minute, okay? I'll meet you up there.
So how do you think women were represented then?
Well, it's very stereotypical because most women are focused on their career and they don't need a man.
Strong, independent women. And would you say that you yourself, you depend on a man to bring you food and bring the salary into the house, or would you do that yourself?
No, I can do that myself.
So you don't need no man in your life. Well then, don't you think, that's a very good point, but don't you think the fact that a character is wearing a very formal dress shows that she has a flourishing career and has established herself in the business world?
Yep, that's a good point.
And also the music in the scene is very uplifting, so I suppose that could show that both young men and women they're living very happy together rather than the stereotypical young couple struggling for money, living in rough conditions, and they're not really got anything to worry about. Anyway, back to you in the studio, Daniel.
Thank you once again, Jack. And now we're moving on to our final character, who is another age range represented in our film. This is middle-aged adults, and his character is the mysterious biker. Instantly in this film, you can tell from the use of low-angle camera shots that he has more power than the younger adults in this film. You can also tell from the costume used, him wearing a nice suit and all this. It shows that, once again, he probably has a better career and is more well-off than the younger characters, so therefore has a higher status in society. And because of this, it makes sort of the young characters look like quite juvenile people, you could say. And anyway, back to our man out on the field.
I'm now here with our final demographic, a middle-aged man by the name of Liam. Thank you for joining us, Liam. So your age group is depicted as having the most status in the opening of Sprint, and this is greatly due to the use of mise-en-scène, showing the way that your character acts as well. You're seen throughout the opening moving in a very slow and menacing way, which shows that people of your age range have a slight swagger over young adults because you have a higher position in the social hierarchy. So I'm going to show you this clip of the opening 2 minutes of Sprint and tell you what you think about it. So how do you think your age range was represented?
I'd say that it represents. It's kind of inaccurate. I think that young people walk around with the swagger over us. They feel that they actually own society. I think that we do try and stay on top of younger people, but I do think that younger people feel the need to be better than us.
That's a good way to look at it. So, if I was to change the question slightly and ask you, how do you think that young adults from the 19 to 21 age, how they fit into the social hierarchy with people at middle age such as yourself?
I feel that they want to be of a higher status. They want to show that they have control over their lives. I feel that we feel, as our age group, probably that we are already of the higher status, but I feel that younger people want to be up there as well, and feel like they actually have, or they feel they have the right to be there.
That's how they've been portrayed in our thriller film. They have well-paid jobs. They dress very smartly. So in that sense, I suppose their social hierarchy is quite high, as though a stereotypical middle-aged person would be. Anyway, back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Jack. And now, after this short look at the film Sprint by JCab Pictures, I believe that we've taken a very in-depth look into some of the age ranges represented in this film and in multiple films in the modern era. So, even though they might have been very stereotypical, these roles are still very compelling and do generally pull in a large audience, so I can see why they did these sort of roles. So anyway, a big thank you to all the people who, was there for our interviews. A huge thank you to, obviously, our man Jack out on the field. And from me in the studio, goodbye and good night.